Also, we have Miss Angel Charmaine, author, businesswoman, entrepreneur. I, you got a lot of jobs.
I do.
You got a lot of jobs. And she have a new book out. When I Met Him, uh, I recently purchased that book. And
Did you read it yet?
Okay.
yeah, I sent it to my mama.
Oh, but did you get a chance to read it before you sent it?
No, cause I just had you send it straight to her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, cause she
Gotcha.
down south, so
Yeah.
by the time she got it from me, yeah, it's been a while. So
Okay, that's what's
yeah,
up.
she wanted to say thank you for signing your book. She
That's
was
what's
happy
up.
about that. She's like, they even know my name. They signed it.
Yes, tell your mama that signature is gonna be worth a lot of money soon.
Ooh, ain't nothing wrong with that. Reach for the stars, Miss Angel. Reach for the
That's
stars.
right.
So let's go and get it started. What was your motivation to write When I Met Him?
Oh, goodness. I write therapeutically. So my motivation for writing anything is healing. So when I met him, it's actually 2 years in the making. It took me 2 years to write 70 pages. Yeah, not because it was difficult to write. 70 pages, when I actually started the writing, it only took me about a week to pen everything. But it took me 2 years to be ready to share those pieces of my life. I had to be okay with putting that out for everybody. So it took me 2 years to go through the healing process in order to be able to put it out there.
So what made you become comfortable enough to say it's time to do it?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I've been on my journey to healing for several years. I've been actually on this journey for a good long while, probably since 2010. But I just knew that in order for me to get to the next leg of my journey, I had to release. So every time I release a book, it is a release. And so I know that it is time for me to enter into the marital relationship again. In order to do that, before I can start talking about dating and, all this other stuff, I needed to release some men. Yeah, that part.
Hey, that part. It's like that. I mean, with that being said, like on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the high, how much relief, like what type of energy did it open up? Like it opened up this to open up that.
So okay,
you see what I mean?
For me, it's a full on 5. The doors kicked wide open because now the men that you meet in the book are no longer inside of me. They're no longer in my soul. They're on the pages now. So that's a freeing. That's all that space that's open and available for one man, not all of them men. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's
all
a
of those extra spirits.
Yes, people don't understand. When you connect with all of these different types of people, you're actually taking on a piece of them. And I think there's a bit of science that proves that you actually take a little piece of each of those people that you connect with on that level. You carry them with you. And so at some point, you got to be like the woman at the well. That one you with ain't your husband, and them other ones you were with wasn't your husband's either. Let them go.
Let them go.
Let them go.
So now, as you continue to ascend in the book writing world, now when you write something, it can come back later on. Now, are you bothered about what you put in the book? Because, once you reach a certain level, people are going to flip everything back, on
Right.
you.
See, the beautiful
Mm-hmm.
thing about being a believer and an author, I'm not just an author, I'm a follower of Christ first. I'm a believer. So the old me is dead and gone. They wrote a song. Didn't somebody write a song? Dead and gone.
Yeah.
Right. The old me is dead and gone. So I don't
Justin
have
Timberlake,
any
yeah.
skeletons.
See, that's
So I
good.
tell my story. That's the beautiful thing about what I do. Each one of my books has the verse Revelations 12 and 11 on the back, because that verse says we triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So, what I do by writing it and putting it on the pages, I take the ability to be blackmailed away. I take away shame, guilt, self condemnation. I put it all out on the table for myself. So, a man can't come back 20 years from now saying, I got a video of her. I'm gonna say, listen, I can tell you what I did on the video. You ain't gotta show nobody. You understand? I'm not ashamed of who I used to be, what I used to do, because that person is no longer alive. I'm a new creation. So they can listen, they can pull it on out, make me richer.
Mm-hmm.
Make me a little bit more money.
So,
Yeah.
so
So
you're
with
on your
it,
third book, correct?
This is the third, yes.
What got you into writing books, period? Were you already doing poetry or something? Or what got you starting into that world?
Well, I've been writing since I was a little girl. Like I said, I write therapeutically. So I've always written in a diary. I was the little girl with the little diary with the
Little
lock and the
book.
key.
mm,
So I've been writing, I don't know, as long as I knew how to read and write, I've been writing.
mm,
I've always wanted to write a book, sort of to tell my story. I just didn't really know how to do it. I kind of felt like my story isn't over, so I didn't know how the book would end. So it just took me some time to get to a place where I could figure out how to skin the cat. There are multiple ways to skin a cat. So instead of waiting until I was 50, 60, 70 years old to tell the whole story, I decided to create a book series and tell my
mm,
story in chunks. So the reader gets an opportunity to come along on my journey with me. There, you're not learning about my story once I'm uber successful or I'm no longer here. You actually get to travel with me, and so that's how
mm.
I decided to do this.
Oh, that's impressive. That's
Who were
impressive.
some writers and authors who inspired you to write?
Well, Maya Angelou is one of my all-time favorites. When you
Mm-hmm.
read my writing, you're probably going to see a bit of the influence. I know Why the Caged Bird Sings is one of my favorites.
That's a classic.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yes,
yeah.
I am also a huge fan of Intisaki Shange. She wrote, what is the full title? I always mess it up, but it is for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. You all probably recognize it as Tyler Perry's movie for colored girls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's
For
actually a
yeah.
book. It's a stage play, and
Oh. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she's one of my favorites. It's actually that piece of writing influenced how I chose to title the chapters in my most recent book, because in that play, all of the characters, they are recognized by color. So you've got the blue girl, the red girl, the yellow girl, the brown girl. Well, in my book, all of these men that you will meet, the titles are man one, man two, man three, man four. So you don't see me, although they're my stories. When you read the book, you're just gonna say, "Man, I know man one." Oh, we must have dealt with the same guy, because man eight, I know him too. So
Mm,
the reader is gonna put a name on that man.
oh,
You understand?
okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
that's impressive.
That,
So
that is.
can you see somebody making a stage play out of your book?
Almost definitely. Almost definitely. It's already in the plan.
Oh,
Each one of
Mm.
my books, it's a series. They're a series of conversational narratives, is what I call them, because they are short stories and narratives. And I call them conversational narratives because they're written in conversational style. So when you read them, it's almost like someone's talking to you. Um, each one of the books is composed of, or comprised of rather, 10 conversational narratives or 10 short stories. So every time I release a new one, they will all have 10, and they will all, pertain to a particular theme, or it'll be something that brings about cohesion. So each story can stand alone on its own,
yeah.
or you can read them all together and it sort of gives you a fuller story, a fuller picture. So yeah, I most definitely um, have been working on, I'm looking at the first book first, Speak with Chic, One Woman, 10 Truths, and creating maybe a stage play for it, as well as this one. I just haven't figured out exactly how I want to do it. So yeah, it's coming.
I mean, I think that's pretty impressive that you even got the stage play in works.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people
Yeah.
can you meet? You'd be like, "What you up to?" They're working the stage play. You know, I don't think I ever met nobody who even acted in the stage play. So for you to be
Yeah.
setting something up like that, that's pretty impressive. I got to take my
That
hat off
brings.
to you.
Oh,
Yeah,
to
that
God
brings
be the
on a new.
glory. Yeah,
Oh
no, these
yeah.
are God's ideas. They're not mine. I got to give him all the glory, because before I was 40 years old, I was working like everybody else, doing
Hmm.
regular jobs or whatever. But at 40, God let me off my job. I resigned from my almost $80,000 a year job living in Vancouver, Washington.
Yes.
And
Oh,
and here I am doing what it is that God has called me to do. So I got to give him the glory for that. This is an angel.
So
oh, that's right.
when you quit, when you resigned from your job,
Hmm.
were you scared? You know, because you were taking, doing this journey,
Hmm.
and you didn't really know. Probably you probably didn't know why you were doing it, but God told you this is what you
Right.
should be doing. So did you ever
Mm.
have second thoughts?
No, because I actually know why I'm doing it. I got the vision and an understanding of my purpose prior to making the decision, prior to saying yes. So it made it that much more easy for me to just do it. The only reservation I had is at the time, as I am now, I was a divorced, woman with four teenage kids, four teenage sons,
Oh,
living on a side of the country where I had no friends or family, no support system. So the idea, plus I was fiercely independent. Um, so the idea of not being able to take care of my children, that was the thing. It wasn't about me. So in my prayer time, it was like, okay, God, if I got to be homeless. Tyler Perry said he was homeless. Everybody famous said they were homeless. Some, they slept in
Mhm.
cars, they ate out of trash cans. So listen, if I got to sleep in somebody's car or whatever, then I'm okay with that. My issue was I did not want my children to have to go pillar to post with me. And that was the biggest issue that I had at the time.
oh, that make a lot of sense. That
Yeah.
make a lot of sense.
Make
So
a lot.
as an author, what do
Mm.
you feel is the hardest part about being an author? Is it like writer's block? Or do you start writing something, you lose motivation? Like, what do you feel is the hardest part for you, for being an author?
But the actual writing process,
Yeah. Yeah. When you're writing a book.
um, I think for me, I think is not the writing itself. It is getting to the place where I know exactly what I want to say. Because there are lots of things. My brain is always moving. I've got lots of things going on in my head, but knowing exactly what people need to hear, what pieces of the story do I need to tell. So, for example, in my new book, because I am sharing 10 different encounters with 10 different men, knowing what parts of those encounters I need to share, what's going to connect with people, what's not, what's just going to be garbage or junk or just whatever, and what's actually going to be able to resonate with people. So finding the piece of my story that we all share, and then figuring out how to best put that in a book so that when you read it, you go, this is my story too.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, is it hard, like juggling, like what all you have going? You know, as far as being like an entrepreneur, you know, you're a businesswoman, you got the podcast, you're an author, you know,
I'm a mama.
yeah, oh yeah, you know, for a teenage boy.
Let's not leave that out. I'm a
That's the
mom.
hardest job right there, you know. So, you know, how are you able to juggle so many hats, you know, at one time?
Well, currently, I did what a lot of people, especially people of, of our persuasion, this side of the coin. I did what a lot of us aren't willing to do. And when the Lord led me back home, I humbled myself and I came back to my parents. So I have a ridiculously supportive home system. I have my mom, I have my dad, my stepdad, my brother, I have my siblings here. So they help make it possible for me to do the things that I do. So I can actually spend all day long working on all of these other things because like my mom is here. She's helping me do some of the things that, I need to do or whatever. There are a lot of people who just wouldn't be willing to go home. I mean, at 40 years old, I came home after having been on my own. I mean, I've lived all up and down the East Coast from the South I've lived in the South, the Central, the West Coast. I've lived overseas and worked overseas. I've been all around the place. I worked for the federal government, the state government. I've done a whole lot of things. Like I said, I was fiercely independent. And so to get to a point where I would say, you know what, I'm going to give all that up. Not going to, no more head did, nails did, everything did, and go home and submit unto my parents and how they do things in their house and that kind of thing so that I could pursue purpose. Most people are not willing to do that.
No, you got that right.
You got
that right.
I guess because, with society, they paint a picture that if you move back with your parents, like that means you a failure. Like
exactly.
Something will fail, you move back. Like who moved back with their parents,
Exactly.
And so everybody look down on people like that.
Exactly.
But I mean, you moved back and look where you at now.
Exactly.
Like you
listen,
gotta go
shortly I'll be able to move my
Yeah.
parents wherever they want to be.
Yes.
If they want to stay here and live in a bigger house, I'll be able to build them a bigger house. If they want to move somewhere, I'll be able to do that. But here's the thing. Most people don't have vision.
Yeah.
Most people don't know what their purpose is.
Yeah.
So, and it really doesn't matter to me what anyone thinks, even being single, knowing that I'm going to be remarried. That's my mom, y'all.
You got it. You got it.
Okay, she says she's sorry.
Oh, hey, mama.
She said, hey, baby. We in Georgia, y'all.
Yeah, that's the South right there. When she said,
yes.
That's, yeah.
Up here,
I feel it.
They don't talk like that.
It's different. No. Felt at home for a second.
So, but even with dating, in this new age, everybody want business partners, what you bring into the table, the kind of stuff. I tell a man straight up right now, look, I live with my mom and my daddy. I don't have a traditional job. I got 4 kids and I'm divorced. You still want my phone number?
Oh, you tell them like that from the beginning?
Let's lay it all out right
Hey,
now. Why? Because I know
hey.
what I'm doing. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't see and believe in the vision, I mean, what's your purpose? What's your function?
I
You
mean,
understand what
What's
I'm
your
saying?
function?
it's hard, because you got the vision and you
Mm-hmm.
can see the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hard for other people to see your picture.
Exactly. That means you're not meant for me. Because guess
Mm-hmm.
what? Because I'm a believer, I know that the
Yeah.
man who's supposed to be connected to me, that my vision is connected to his vision. So whatever it is that he is doing,
Yeah.
it will work with whatever it is that I am doing, and we will build together. He'll be okay with it. You understand? Even if you don't
Yeah.
understand what I'm doing, a person with vision understands passion.
Yeah.
Most people
You
don't
see
get
that
it.
passion
They
in.
got no passion, they got no vision, so you can't see it. But a
Mm-hmm.
man who is watching and paying attention, oh, he recognizes who I am. I ain't
Mm-hmm.
questioning that.
You got that right.
He
It's
ain't
more.
questioning it.
It's
I
it's
mean,
more of a. Yeah. I mean,
He
that's
got to
like
trust
the
the
greatest.
process. He got to
Yeah,
trust
that's
the
the
process.
greatest thing. Yeah, having someone see
exactly.
your process and like, you know what, I'm gonna go buy this for you, even though I know it's
Yes,
over budget. I got you
I
because it's gonna
got
be
you.
beneficial.
Exactly.
That's
So,
Exactly.
so
so I.
as you continue to go up the author ladder,
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
say somebody else want to follow in your footsteps, not the same story, but they want to like be an author too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are some things that you would share to them,
Mm-hmm.
starting out that you wish you would have known when you started?
Um, well, I do talk to a lot of people who want to become writers, because I believe in sharing. People inbox me all the time. How do you do this? What do you do this? And I just tell people it's not a secret. But what I will say is that anyone aspiring to be an author or anything else need to be willing to read. Everything you want to do is already on the internet. The internet know everything. And all you have to do is be willing to read. You don't even have to read. YouTube, it's in a video. So I tell aspiring writers to go out and Google whatever it is that you want to do. You want to be a self-published author? Google it. It's there. You just have to be willing to read it. If you want to know how, if you don't understand certain literary jargon, or you don't know the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing, if you don't know the difference between the different genres of writing, you don't know whether you're writing a memoir or whether you're writing a biography, listen, Google it and read. It's all there. And aside from that, just in terms of writing, I would say just write it scared. Just
Right.
write it scared. Write it scared. Just write afraid. Most people who want to be writers are afraid to be honest
Oh,
because of what you said at the beginning. Other people are
Mm-hmm.
going to read this stuff. Some people may be writing fiction, but they're afraid of what people are going to think about it. Is it good enough? Am I doing it the right way? Is this book long enough? Is it too short? Is my punctuation okay? Is it grammatically? Well, I didn't do well when I was in English class, so maybe I shouldn't be an author. I just say, write it scared.
All right.
oh, that
Go
makes
with it.
sense. I never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because you so. I mean, because people gonna tear your work apart piece
Mm-hmm.
by piece. And a lot of people worried about being, perfect. When they
Mm-hmm.
put something out.
Yep.
I guess, yeah, that make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Jared,
And
you
you want
gotta
to be
ask.
professional. You
Yeah.
want to put out a good product. But if you're a
Yeah.
beginner, if you're a novice, you have to start. You're never going to
Yeah.
get to the finished
Yeah.
product if you don't just start. So You just write afraid. It doesn't matter. You just write it, put it on the paper. And once you begin to write, it won't matter what other people say. Now, when you get to the point where you actually have to hand your writing over to someone to read it, to edit, and things of that nature, then you're going to have another hurdle to cross where you got to get over this, oh, I don't want anybody to say it, because it's like a baby. You don't want to give your baby over to someone who's going to abuse it, right? But before you even get to that point, you got to have something to share. So you just have to write, period.
That make a lot of sense. Just start.
Just start.
Now y'all listen to what I never thought it. Listen to what Miss Angel telling y'all right now. Now y'all write it down or take it back, rewind, and play it again. And write it down what she said. She telling y'all from experience.
I never thought about that because I make music like writing scared. I always just say, well, I just put something down and it goes, from there. But like you said, writing scared, I never would have thought that, that would take it. I'm gonna try that because I'm kind of like that in my music. Because I'll say or I go by a certain motto, so I don't say certain things, and as the days go on, I'm starting to feel that I should, so I can get that point across.
That's right.
And like you said, just being scared and writing it. So I mean, I never thought about it that way. Yeah, makes me feel a lot comfortable. I tell you that.
Look at you. But that is what it's all about.
I ain't gonna lie.
When you do it scared, when you write scared, it's not just about not being afraid of the conventions of writing or grammar and things of that nature, but it is doing it afraid of what people are going to say, what people are going to think, how people will respond, whether or not you're politically correct. You just have to write it unafraid of any of that stuff. Why? Because you're sharing the word of your own testimony. So here again, right? Revelation 12:11, we overcome guilt, shame, self-condemnation, doubt, self-doubt, and all those things. We overcome those things by what? By sharing the word of our testimony. So you're not going to get beyond being afraid until you get to the point where you will be honest, transparent, and vulnerable. So, okay, so I probably should say this to you all. Yes, I'm an author, but I taught English for almost 20 years. So I taught. I don't want y'all to think I'm a unicorn.
Yeah, I thought you just started writing and like you just got it.
I mean, I am new at being an author. Just because you're a teacher doesn't make you an author. But understanding writing and helping people get to a place where they will write. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, helping young people, write. So yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you feel people still read a lot of books these days, or is it better to put out a book and an audio book?
A book, yeah.
Yeah. Well, people like to consume content now, so whichever way that people will consume it, you need to put it out. So I created with this book, I have it in paperback version, audio version, ebook version, PDF version. Why? Because people there was a time when you would go to the library, you took the time to go to check out a book and all that kind of stuff. Now, if it's not at people's fingertips, they just don't have time for it. So if you want to sell the books, that part, then you definitely want to have it out in as many mediums as possible that the consumer can consume it. So if you've got a person who just doesn't like to read, and have it in audio version. I like to just make it so when people say, well, Angel, I haven't got your book because I don't like to read. I'm like, girl, you ain't got to read it. You can listen to it. Oh, well, you know what? I prefer to, well, don't worry about that, girl. I got it on ebook. Listen, soon you ain't going to have anything to say except I just don't want to read your book, Angel.
Got more excuses than a doctor. More excuses than a doctor's
Exactly.
note.
I'm telling you. I'm
So,
telling you.
okay, so since you have your podcast,
Hmm.
you know about the radio world. So, do you ever put out like little teasers of your book on your podcast?
Not yet. I actually just entered the podcasting arena in January.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I'm feeling really
Mm.
good because I think today I checked, I was like at about 712 or 15 plays. So I'm feeling really good about that. Almost at 1,000, right? So
Mm.
Congratulations on getting on iTunes. You
Oh
know,
I think
yes.
that helped.
you know.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that helped. So I Yeah, I haven't started putting the book on the podcast yet, simply because of the vision that I have for the podcast. However, I've just changed things just a little bit, and I'm going to begin to add some quote unquote bonus content,
Ooh,
right? Yeah. So, Speak Up Sis podcast is all about creating this safe space for everyday women and men to share their stories to inspire the stories of others. So, the primary focus is really on other people sharing, giving people that space. So, at first, I felt some kind of way about sharing my stuff in a space that I say is for other people because, I don't want to, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I just don't want to move away from the purpose of the primary purpose of the podcast. So what I decided to do was offer bonus content. So this past Monday, my last episode, it was just me sharing. I didn't have a guest.
yeah.
And so I just kind of threw it out there like, okay, if you all, want to hear me share a little bit of my story, then, let me know. Kind of give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you want me to stick to other people's stories, I can do that. If you like to hear me share a little bit about me, then I can do that as well. So, so far I haven't gotten anything negative. The last episode is, it's rolling per usual like the others. So I'm just going to continue to throw out a few little short 20-minute or less pieces of content where it's just me sharing.
I mean, my advice is just keep putting out something consistently.
Right.
That's what a lot of people. That's what a lot of people. That's what they lack at.
Mm-hmm.
Because your audience can be with you one week, but then if you don't put nothing out, they found somebody else to listen to fill that void.
Gotcha.
But if they know you're gonna put something out every week, you just, if somebody come listen to your podcast, they listen to one episode, well then they be like, well, I like this. So then they start going back and playing
Mm-hmm.
all your older episodes, So yeah, I just say just put something out. Even, if it's by yourself or with a guest, just put something out.
That's
People
good
appreciate
advice.
that. So yeah. Oh, you got another
Oh.
question, Jerry?
Yes, and this is completely off the Richter. I want you to know that. Um,
Fall asleep.
means that we are in quarantine these days. If you had this marathon, huh? What happened?
Oh,
You
you was
good?
sounding like a robot. Can you
Okay.
repeat the
Yeah,
question?
I didn't hear.
Oh, my bad. If you had a free day to watch a marathon, what would be your show, series, or movie, and what snack would it be?
Oh, okay. So first thing, I don't watch television anymore. I haven't watched TV
Oh.
and I know I haven't watched TV in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to start back watching television, I'd probably go back to my favorites, which would be Law and Order. Dum dum. Okay.
Oh, man.
So,
Oh,
Law and Order?
Law and Order. Yeah.
I thought you was gonna say Martin. Maybe
No,
Moesha.
no, I watched that stuff when I was younger. I am a Law and Order fool. I'm
Okay.
watching um CSI, I'm watching NCIS, I'm watching Law and Order. Like I
Uh-huh.
got TNT on lock. Marathon. If I'm not watching that, then I would be on Netflix catching up on all
TNT
the
on.
Grey's Anatomy. Um,
Oh.
yes, and while I'm watching, I'm talking about this like I didn't used to do this stuff. Um, I wine and popcorn.
Wine and
What?
popcorn.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that one. Wine and
I thought she
popcorn.
wine
was
I
and
talking
better
about
try that. I like
Chicago.
wine.
popcorn. I'm a Moscato
Kettle?
d'Asti. Yes, I like dessert wine. I like sweet wine with salty
Uh-huh.
popcorn. Ooh, it's delicious.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
if you don't watch TV now,
Hmm.
well, how do you spend your free time, the little time that you have these days? Do you just like read books, or are you working? You always working now?
Always working.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. You're trying to get
I,
somewhere.
that's a, I.
Yeah.
But the thing is I love what I do, so it's not like
That's
work.
important.
I love
Mm-hmm.
what I do. I help people. I support people. My purpose in this world is to be the premier financial supporter of Kingdom Visions. My job is to support people and their
Mm-hmm.
visions and doing what it is they want to do. So I spend my entire days. My mom's nodding her head because she's like, yeah, she does. I spend my entire day um, reading other people's content. I'm consuming other people's content. I'm buying books. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm buying jewelry and body butters and whatever people have to offer. I'm checking out things. I'm looking at people's stuff. I'm like, oh, sis, listen, if you go do this, 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 and this, that'll make that so much better. Oh, sis, if you do that, let me show you how to do this. I'm constantly supporting people in what they do. And I actually love doing it. And when I'm not doing that, then I'm building my own platform because my platform is about supporting other people's platforms. So I'm working. And then when I'm not doing that, then I'm sitting at the table drinking coffee and Coke Zero with my mom. Or I'm, you know, trying to spend time with my teenage boys who really just want to play video games and watch YouTube, but so that's what
Yeah.
I do. So the quarantine didn't mess with me because this is what I do
Mm.
on a regular basis. So the quarantine actually helped me to get a lot more done. So now I don't have to drop kids off at school, pick kids up, take them to football practice and
Mm-hmm.
band and orchestra and track and tennis. I don't have to do all of those things. So the time I was spending doing that, I finished writing my book. I upgraded my
Mm-hmm.
podcast. I
Oh.
created all of these other things. My marketing and promoting of myself got a whole lot better. Everything looks a little more professional because I was able to spend
Mm-hmm.
more time doing it all. So I'm pretty okay with the quarantine. Yeah.
So
Mm. Can't
so
blame you for
what's
that
coming up
journey.
for you next? What are you like working on right now? What's on your timeline?
Well, tomorrow, I am going to have the very first. Why did I say the very first? Because if it's first, I don't need a very. That that was unnecessary. But anyway, it was kind of redundant. But the first virtual Speak Up Sis experience. So before I started doing podcasting and all of these things, I would have Speak Up Sis experiences. They were in person, and they are safe spaces that are intimate, where I bring where people will host me. So I would show up in their space. They would have women that are there, and I facilitate conversation through books as with some other authors to help women to just deal with the stuff of life, right? So these would be in-person experiences. Well, with the shelter in place, clearly we're not meeting in places. So tomorrow I'm going to have the first virtual Speak Up Sis experience. So I'm really excited about that. I want to see how it translates virtually. In person, there's a chemistry that takes place that just makes it work.
Yeah.
So prayerfully, we'll still have that in the virtual space. So I want to be able to do this once every Sunday, like 4 times a month. So tomorrow goes well, then I will be hosting my own. I won't have anyone else host it. I'll host it myself
Nice.
every month. So I'm really working on that. I really am trying to get this podcasting thing to just sort of pick up.
Got it. Take your time.
Yeah, you know, I'm
Have fun. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I like things to work.
Yeah.
I just like things to work. I don't like spending a lot of time in spaces that don't work. But like you just said, you got to take your time and give it some time to work.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm working on. I got to work on that. Just being patient.
You got it.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
got
that,
it.
you know, if you're not a celebrity, you got to build it up from the ground up.
Right.
But it takes time. Once people understand what you're trying to do, you know, what the thing that messed us up is we thought like, oh man, family and friends are gonna listen to this stuff. You know, this me, this us.
Yeah.
You know, everybody gonna tune in.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna get the most support from people that you don't even know.
Exactly. Speak Up Sis. My platform is filled with a bunch of people I've never met. You know, I feel like I know them now because we spend so much time in the virtual space together. But you're absolutely right. I'm sure the vast majority of my family have not read any of my books, haven't listened to not one episode of a podcast. But I'm okay with that. You know, my parents support me, my siblings, my 2 brothers, they support me, my children support me. I mean, I'm good. But what I know is they all gonna come out the woodworks in a minute.
Well,
that's my cousin.
Well, ain't that always
that's my cousin.
Be like, remember when you was in Vancouver and I thought about calling you? I thought about it. Yeah.
You don't remember when I thought about calling you?
I thought about it. And when you was 2, I gave you that piece of candy. Remember that? Now I just need $500,000.
$500,000 for that piece of candy.
Yeah.
You doing good, cuz. I was your favorite.
So, Miss Angel Charmaine, how can people get a hold of you? Your social media or anything you want to share with the audience?
Oh, most definitely. I can be reached via my website, which is speakupsis.com. You can access my podcast via speakupsis.com. I also have a talk radio show for Christian authors. Can access that via speakupsis.com. Speakupsis.com is sort of a one-stop shop. If you want to reach me via social media, you can find me at Angel Charmaine on Facebook or Speak Up Sis on Facebook. Instagram, I am angel.charmaine, and that's CHARMAINE. So that's angel.charmaine on Instagram or speak.up.sis on Instagram or Speak Up Sis podcast. So I'm all over the place. The easiest way to find me is to go to speakupsis.com.
Oh, well, thank you, Miss Angel, for coming on again. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, guys. This has been fun. Cal and Jay.
It is.
You are the first author we ever interviewed.
Really? Oh, my.
Yes.
I'm feeling some kind of great right now.
Oh, thank you.
It was
I hope I have set the bar at a decent level for those to come.
Well, yeah, so now we ask questions, we'll be like, oh, they don't know what they talking about. Miss Angel already told us what to expect. She already told us. So yeah.
Listen, just send them my way. I'll help them out.
Oh yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am. So as usual, we always give our guests, our audience, a motivational quote.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one that
Yes.
you want to share with them?
Yeah, one of my faves is, of course, by Maya Angelou. People will remember what you said. People won't remember what you said. They won't remember what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. So if you want to if you want friends, be friendly. If you need to be refreshed, refresh someone else. Make people feel good about themselves because that's what they're going to remember.
Oh,
Mm.
nice.
I
JR,
like that.
you want to send out
Kick
Miss
it off.
Angel?
Yes, I do. Once again, we do appreciate you blessing us with your motivation, just everything, and feeling that Southern love. So we normally do the outro as we have the guests say a quote, phrase that we have. Cal and J, a day. Ka! So if you can please send us off. You have the mic.
Cal and Jay, every day. Oh,
Thank you, Miss
did I
Angel.
do that okay?
It's car, but car, but you did
Car.
it right. There you go.
Thank you, Miss
We
Angel. Thank
appreciate
you
you
for
so
coming
much.
on. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome,
Appreciate you.
brothers. It's
Yes, we
good to be
do.
here. Thank you so much.
You have a
All right,
good
you
day,
have
and
a
tell
blessing.
tell your mom to have a good day also.
Yes, you
Okay.
do. Late Happy Mother's Day as well to both of y'all.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Mama, tell the people bye. Have a blessed day.
You too, Mom. All right, y'all.
Thank you so much, Miss Angel. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
All right.
All right, later.
Oh man,
Yo, that was crazy.
that was good. We learned about we learned about how to become an author and that thing.
Yeah, if anything.
Yeah, and all the
So
background
yeah,
work that
man.
it take and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like we said, this whole podcast is about being a platform for others. So like we
Yeah,
said,
not so much
who we gonna have on? But y'all go make
Yeah.
sure, that y'all go pick up the book When I Met Him and go to speakupsis.com to check on Miss Angel other stuff that she have. I did check it out. She got
Yeah.
jewelry, she got coffee mugs. She got a lot, but I don't wanna take it out. Y'all go check out her website and y'all go purchase
Mm-hmm.
it.
Spread that love. Y'all felt the love because I know we did in the interview.
So yeah. So until next time, your boys is out.